Jobs come with risks. Some are stressful, others exhausting, and many involve real danger. Yet certain workplace fatalities stand apart, not as unavoidable tragedies, but as consequences of shockingly poor judgment. What follows aren't tales of heroism or freak circumstances. These are accounts of workers whose catastrophic mistakes at critical moments resulted in their own deaths. The incidents range from reckless time-saving measures to equipment handling so absurd it seems impossible. Here are real cases where one wrong choice ended everything.
April 2018 brought a preventable disaster to Mumbai's airport. Among a maintenance team servicing an Air India Express Boeing 737, Subramaniam Raman, aged 45, approached what seemed like routine work. The task list included inspecting turbine blades, removing debris, and confirming operational readiness before the next flight. A co-worker's oversight changed everything. The auxiliary power unit remained active. This secondary engine initiates the main turbines. Without realizing automatic startup was engaged, Subramaniam positioned himself directly before the massive intake opening. Flashlight in hand, he moved closer for inspection. Then rotation began. Those present described overwhelming noise, an escalating whine becoming a violent vortex within moments. The intake suction drew him completely inside the spinning assembly, ending his life instantly. Operations halted as blood scattered across the tarmac while horrified personnel witnessed what resembled a nightmare scenario. Airport investigators later confirmed multiple illuminated dashboard warnings had been disregarded. Protocol demanded attaching a red warning indicator reading, "Do not start. Maintenance in progress." This crucial step never happened. Within moments, the rotating blades completely obliterated his physical form. Maintenance records documented the incident with brutal brevity, personnel ingestion during ground maintenance fatal. The tragedy earned lasting infamy in aviation circles as a harsh lesson. Omitting a single safety step can transform ordinary work into a fatal trap. February 2020 saw tragedy strike law for Magary, Shropshire, England warehouse during the evening shift. A forklift operator detected worrying creaking sounds. The facility contained enormous quantities of stacked cheese, individual wheels approaching 40 kilograms, arranged vertically in towering columns. Something shifted at the top. Without warning, an entire shelving wall collapsed. More than 25 tons of cheese thundering downward. Most workers escaped. John Morris, a 58-year-old forklift operator, became trapped beneath the cascading mass of cheddar. Rescue operations required over 8 hours of excavation through combined dairy products and metal framework before locating his remains. Investigation findings revealed deliberate overloading. Racks exceeded safe capacity by nearly 30% after management chose to house surplus inventory rather than expand storage. Workers had previously voiced concerns, nicknaming the unstable structure the Leaning Tower of Cheese. Their supervisor ordered them to ignore the hazard. They complied. Media coverage was extensive, with one journalist labeling it Britain's most stereotypical workplace catastrophe. For those present, however, nothing was amusing. They witnessed a colleague's death beneath cheese because proper infrastructure was deemed unnecessary. Though resembling urban folklore, this 2012 incident at Bumblebee Food Santa Fe Springs, California facility is thoroughly verified. Jose Molina, 62, was assigned to clean an industrial sterilization oven for canned tuna processing. These steel chambers accommodate thousands of cans simultaneously while reaching 270 degrees Fahrenheit under steam pressure. Jose entered for interior inspection. Standard safety protocol requires a simple measure. Workers must attach a conspicuous lockout device preventing accidental activation. Jose proceeded without his tag, assuming quick completion. Shortly after, a passing coworker observed the open door, assumed vacancy, and initiated the operating cycle. The hatch sealed and locked mechanically. For approximately 2 hours, the equipment executed its complete sterilization program. Upon eventual opening, the supervisor discovered Jose's remains fused to interior metal surfaces. The coroner labeled it among California's most severe industrial accidents, listing cause of death as pressure cooker entrapment. Bumblebee Foods received a $6 million penalty while their operations supervisor faced involuntary manslaughter prosecution. The most troubling discovery came from investigators finding safety tags accumulated and used in storage. Nobody wished to invest time in documentation. Therefore, a human being was literally cooked alive because 2 minutes seemed more valuable than protocol compliance. Salvage yards often employ that one worker, excessively confident, dangerously underestimating machinery capabilities. March 2019 at a Krakow, Poland scrap facility, 34-year-old Tomasz Kowalski worked overnight shifts with colleagues, compressing scrap vehicles into cubes. Their hydraulic press was formidable, capable of flattening full-size SUVs into twisted steel sheets within seconds. Before break time, Tomasz made a declaration, "I bet I could jump in, grab something and get out before it closes." Co-workers didn't laugh. Tomasz interpreted this as validation. Security footage later captured him approaching the equipment, studying its compression rhythm. During a pause, he reached inside the chamber retrieving a dropped wrench. The subsequent moment, the machine activated. No escape time existed, no audible distress, only the sound of compressing metal. The crusher completed its sequence, reopened, and workers comprehended what had transpired. Tomasz's remains had been compressed into a metal cube measuring under 2 feet across. Investigation revealed Tomasz had previously disabled pressure sensors to accelerate operational speed. The equipment was never designed for operation with personnel nearby. Colleagues reported he enjoyed demonstrating bravado, racing machinery for entertainment. This occasion proved fatal in the most foolish manner conceivable. June 2022 inside a Mishawaka, Indiana steel foundry where temperatures routinely exceeded 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Late evening operations at Iroquois Industries involved transferring molten metal into molds when 39-year-old technician Stephen Dykhouse approached excessively near an open vat. Standard configuration included safety barriers surrounding the pit, but one had been removed for maintenance earlier that day without reinstallation. Stephen carried a portable production tracking scanner when he slipped on spilled graphite dust. He plunged directly into molten steel. Colleagues described hearing a splash followed by absolute silence. Upon looking downward, nothing remained visible. OSHA documentation proved horrific. Metal temperature exceeded 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. His body vaporized instantaneously. No recoverable remains existed. This marked the foundry's second fatality within 12 months. A previous worker had been crushed by a mold, yet the company received minimal fines and continued unchanged operations. Stephen's co-workers stated barriers had been compromised for months despite multiple filed complaints that received no response. Investigators discovered barrier components still stacked in storage upon arrival. Management distributed an email the following morning announcing operations would resume within 24 hours. The workforce refused participation. One worker told local media, "We used to joke that this place could kill you. Now it's not a joke anymore." Stephen Dykhouse's foundry had historical safety issues. The corporation prided itself on traditional production methods, utilizing open vats and manual pouring techniques most contemporary facilities had abandoned decades prior. For months, employees complained about absent safety barriers, molten splatter burns, and upper walkway vibrations when crucibles were filled. Management dismissed concerns. One supervisor stated, "We've been doing it this way for 40 years." That June 2022 evening, noise proved relentless. Molten metal hissing, furnace rumbling, overhead crane whining. Stephen, merely weeks into employment, had volunteered for upper-level inventory assistance. He carried only a scanner and clipboard. Witnesses reported he was conversing with another worker when his boot lost traction on fine graphite powder coating the catwalk. No guardrail existed for catching him, no safety net below. He plummeted 30 feet directly into a crucible of liquid steel. One individual attempted grabbing him, but heat proved unbearable. They could only observe. Conclusion came within seconds. By OSHA's arrival, metal had solidified. Nothing remained for recovery. They classified the death as instantaneous incineration. What proved particularly disturbing was its preventability. The absent guardrail had been reported 7 separate times during the preceding month. Each report closed with identical notation: pending maintenance. Nobody ever completed repairs. Following the incident, the company paid a $145,000 fine, barely a fraction of weekly revenue. Operations then resumed. For months afterward, workers reported a lingering smell, burnt metallic sweetness that resisted all cleaning attempts. November 2021 transformed a Bangkok, Thailand high-rise into the location of an extraordinarily unusual workplace accident. 2 elevator technicians, Somchai and Niran, were servicing separate shafts within the same tower. Somchai addressed a 10th floor wiring issue. Niran tested 8th floor weight sensors. Standard procedure requires continuous team communication. One crew locks power before another begins moving cars. That day, both assumed the other had completed their tasks. At 2:13 p.m., Somchai opted to test his elevator manually by sending it downward. Simultaneously, Niran stepped onto the adjacent car's roof for cable tension examination. As one elevator descended, the other ascended. Niran's head collided with Somchai's car's underside at full velocity. Impact caused immediate death through decapitation on contact. Upper car movement sensors failed prompt activation, preventing system shutdown. It continued ascending until reaching the top floor, where Somchai opened the door expecting routine inspection. Instead, he discovered blood dripping from beneath his own elevator. Rescue personnel described it among the most surreal sights encountered. 2 elevators in motion, one covered in wiring, the other in blood. Building maintenance records revealed both teams had filed overlapping work orders for identical time slots, a scheduling error caused by a missing shift ledger page. Essentially, a life ended because documentation was misplaced. October 2020 at a Pune, India brewery, 37-year-old technician Rajesh Kumar received assignment to clean fermentation tanks for beer production. These 3-story tanks contain thousands of liters of liquid at various brewing stages. Protocol required emptying and flushing them before maintenance, a hours-long process. Running behind schedule, Rajesh climbed inside a half-filled tank, intending to begin cleaning while yeast still settled at the bottom. He remained unaware the beer was actively fermenting. Upon entry, carbon dioxide began accumulating in the confined space. Within minutes, oxygen levels plummeted. Rajesh experienced dizziness but remained inside attempting quick completion. When he failed responding to a co-worker's call, another worker investigated through the hatch, observing bubbles rising. Rajesh had collapsed into the beer. Upon extraction, he proved unresponsive. Paramedics confirmed suffocation, not drowning. CO2 had displaced air before he contacted liquid. The brewery released a statement attributing responsibility to procedural lapse. Investigation revealed worse. The company had removed gas sensors for cost reduction, eliminating workers' ability to detect CO2 accumulation. Colleagues completed their shift that day. They reported fermentation smell intensity exceeded normal levels: sweet, sour, and nauseating. Houston, Texas, 2023. A construction crew installed underground piping for residential development when 27-year-old Marcus Hall opted to save time by omitting the trench box, a metal frame preventing dirt collapse during excavation. The 12-foot deep trench had been excavated all morning in 90-degree heat, causing soil drying and cracking. His foreman instructed waiting for the box before entry. Marcus dismissed the directive. "It'll only take a second," he stated while kneeling for pipe adjustment. The sidewall collapsed. Thousands of pounds of earth poured around him, pinning him to the ground. Co-workers attempted shovel excavation, calling for assistance, but soil continued caving. When rescue crews arrived 20 minutes later, only his boots remained visible. Body recovery required 4 hours. OSHA officials determined the trench box sat positioned less than 15 feet away, and used. Setup would have required Marcus 3 minutes. One coworker later informed reporters, "He was the kind of guy who hated waiting. Said he could dig faster than anyone." He proved correct, but only once. March 2019, a South African security company conducted testing on their newest product, a bulletproof glass door engineered for armored banks and government facilities. The door was designed to withstand everything from handguns to assault rifles. The design team desired a demonstration video for investors, something impressive showcasing durability. Lead tester, 29-year-old safety officer Sifui Malangu, volunteered to position himself behind the glass. He completely trusted the design. Test protocol was explicit. A professional marksman would fire 3 rounds from a licensed rifle targeting the lower panel. However, a problem existed. The manufacturer had accidentally delivered a prototype that hadn't undergone complete ballistic lamination. It appeared identical, same thickness, same appearance, but lacked the final bonding layer holding inner glass and polycarbonate together. Nobody verified specifications. Cameras recorded. The shooter aimed. The first bullet struck, a clean, satisfying crack across the lower pane. Everyone celebrated. The second shot followed. This one shattered the entire panel. The bullet penetrated completely, striking Sifui in the chest. He stumbled backward, falling behind the door as coworkers screamed. Recording continued several seconds before someone comprehended what had occurred. By medics' arrival, he was deceased. The footage never received public release, but leaked screenshots circulated online for weeks, displaying moments before and after impact. Visible was the confidence on his face, the faint smile just before testing commenced. Police later confirmed the door had been mislabeled during packaging, and the project manager admitted they had omitted verification to save time before the demonstration. Sifui died because someone prioritized completing the product video before weekend arrival. Every case shares identical elements: individuals excessively confident, exhausted, or careless to pause for one additional moment. In environments involving heavy machinery, high voltage, or molten steel, that single moment determines everything. Because in these settings, opportunities to learn from mistakes don't exist.